podcast started.
No clue what we're going to be talking about.
We're just gonna freestyle it.
We're just gonna freestyle it.
Literally, let's call it freestyle.
Yeah, tile freestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not a rapper though. We're yappers, not rappers.
We're yappers. We're professional yappers. Are we getting straight into it now?
Oh, I think we're getting straight into it, right?
No mic check. Oh, we're not even done a mic check, guys. It might not even be recording this whole time. Shall we just do it without doing the mic check?
I think that TikTok video that we made with like 150 mic test 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was enough.
We've tested the mic forever, guys. It works.
I think that was enough. So, what do you think you want to talk about on today's podcast? Well, before we do that, welcome back to 2BFT.
Welcome back to 2BFT. We're your hosts, Rav and Harman. This is 2BFT. I don't know why I said this is 2BFT. You guys already
because
know.
You got to say it twice.
You got to say it twice for 2BFT.
Name so nice, you got to say it twice. So what do you feel like you want to talk about today?
This is a relaxed one today, guys. Usually the way we structure these podcasts is we have a topic that we want to talk about before, and we'll kind of lay out some talking points beforehand. The main reason is that because I'm such a yapper, and when Harman asks me a question, I always clearly never answer the question that he's asking.
Let's just talk. Forget about the BFs. Sorry, guys. I think we were speaking about this in the last podcast, and we did the exact same thing that we did in episode 1. I asked you a question, and you were answering something completely different, and I remember I was thinking in my head that, okay, let me ask, because what I like to do in the podcast, I want to do more bouncing off of each other, and I asked you a question, and then, but I don't take offense to that, because I know how you work, I know your brain, because obviously, you're undiagnosed, but I feel like you have ADHD, right? What do you think? Do you think so too?
Yeah, I think so too, but I think the reason why I answer questions in the way I do is because I want to get my feeling across and my perspective where I come from.
Yeah.
You might ask me a question like, Rav, what was school like growing up? And then I'll say, when I was a kid, I'll be legit. Ever since I was a kid, I'll be legit. But I'll be like, ever since a kid, growing up, my parents were like this. But that doesn't answer the question, but I'm trying to put it into perspective. Yeah, the building blocks of where that story, I am answering your question at word 5,000.
Yeah, at the end
somewhere,
of it. Yeah.
Somewhere in the end. Yeah. But I need to set the course of events which justifies why the actions were what they were.
That makes you... I think that makes you a storyteller. I am like that too, I was speaking to someone who shall not be named on the podcast for their privacy. Shout out to you though. And she mentioned it to me. She was like, "Oh, you and Rav are basically the same when you tell stories." And I was like, "How so?" And she said to me, she was like, "You don't get to the point." we don't get to the point.
It's bold of you to assume that there is a point.
We like to yap. And do you know what? Editing the last podcast, I realized I was listening to the podcast while editing it to myself, because a fair few points was me yapping about the things. And oh my god, bro, I turned around and I said to myself, Harman, you can yap, fam. You can yap. Oh my god. How do people listen to us?
Do you know what's funny? A lot of things...
Is it funny?
It is funny.
Okay.
I'll tell you, because you will laugh. Well, you won't laugh, but you'll be, intrigued.
Yeah. So do you know what's intriguing?
Do you know what's intriguing? It is going to be funny, bro. Just let me land. This is why we have... Because we're not even said what I'm going to say yet. I'm going to forget. But there was someone that I was speaking to, and... bearing in mind, this is an acquaintance of mine. So they've not met you before personally.
Yeah.
But they were listening to one episode of the podcast, and you were saying that in episode 2, who is Harman, when you were growing up, you had a thick accent.
Yeah.
Coming here, and you were self-conscious of it.
Yeah.
Literally no one says that about you today, bro.
Yeah.
Everyone says to me, Harman's got a perfectly fine accent. I don't know where that comes from. I know where it comes from because you did.
Yeah.
And because you did, that was a thought in your head, and that will kind of always be there.
Yeah.
It's like, when I started the gym, I was skinny. I will still feel, even to this day, I still feel skinny. Even though I look better than 99% of people, I still feel skinny. So you'll still always feel that. So I know where they're coming from, because even when I listen to your accent's completely fine. It sounds like you are from this country.
Yeah.
Right? But because of what's in your mind, the way you perceive yourself, that's the kind of
it's like
energy you put out there.
It's that image of have you ever seen that image where there's a bodybuilder looking in the mirror and he sees himself as skinny? I also, like, obviously I've been going gym as well, and I still to this day I look at myself, because you always compliment my biceps, like my bicep peak and everything, like, oh bro, you got like nice arms, like they look nice. I still to this day look at my arms and I still feel like my arms are so skinny. Like, I think it's one of those, because you do things to change your insecurities in life, right? Like you have an insecurity, everyone has them, and if you decide to change it over time, you might end up changing it, but maybe you won't notice it. Some things you will, some things you won't. It's just part of your life. Sometimes it is just, as a person, some things you can't let go of. So for me, it was the accent that sometimes I feel like, oh, like, do people think it's like a really weird accent that I speak? Because obviously it's like a mixture between the British accent, American and Indian for some reason. And then looking in the mirror, sometimes I look at my arms and I think, wow, like I'm still that skinny kid back from like year 8 or something, which is exactly the same as what you said about you. What was the funny thing that you were gonna mention?
That was the funny bit. That was funny to me, because people say to me that your Harman, his accent sounds exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
Like he could have just been making that up.
But to me, it sounds so different. Like when I listen to you, you speak on the podcast. When I'm editing it. When I listen to you, you sound clear and eloquent. Whereas when I listen to myself, I'm like, oh, but like I could have said this more clearly. I could have used a better word here. I don't know if that's how you feel while recording the podcast as well.
It's one of them ones where it's one of them ones.
It's one of them ones
where I've done a lot of practice
Yeah.
on my speech, because I've done a sales job and stuff. I've done loads of sales calls, and
Yeah.
I've had to analyze all the calls and the conversations
Yeah.
and things like neuro-emotional questioning, which invokes an emotional response. So I could say, how are you today, Harman? Or if you have something that's causing some sort of pain in your life, not a physical pain, but some sort of
Emotional
discomfort or some sort of change.
Yeah.
I might say, how does that impact you? Oh, it's, it affects my relationships and it affects business and, but I can imagine that causes a bit of stress, right? Oh yeah, it causes a lot of stress, but being able to ask questions in a certain way, but then also answer in a certain way too, I've kind of polished up those skills. So I'm not saying I'm the best at it ever, but my communication I have worked on a lot.
So what you're saying is, when you listen to the podcast back, obviously you don't have to agree with me, but you feel like you're happy with the way you sound on the podcast.
I always think my voice sounds a bit weird. I've been not self-conscious about my voice, but when you listen to like Morgan Freeman or like Kratos, in God of War,
yeah, it's like
they have those,
boy.
He's got those
we can't even do it,
and we can't even do it.
Yeah,
like
I get it.
They've got those crazy voices.
They've got that reverb. I mean, to be fair, it could be the equipment. Obviously, we're recording this in my bedroom, and we're on a.
We're not sound engineers.
I like music, so I am quite knowledgeable about when it comes to like sound and videography and stuff as well, because of making TikToks and everything. Like, I'm trying to learn, so I know what we need. At the moment, obviously, we're just kind of doing this like a garage startup type of thing, like the raw,
the ghetto startup,
the ghetto startup. Yeah, people have seen this on on the 2BFD Instagram. One of the first posts that we did, it was us recording with my TV in the back, with a picture of the podcast while we're recording this, and it's on the iPad, isn't it? So like we've got the iPad connected to the mic. Maybe in the future, so as we mentioned in the last episode, we've got some surprises coming up this year. So that was me making a sign to Rav, because obviously I don't want to say it on the podcast, but he knows what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I can't wait.
Yeah, so until we get to that point, right now it's a bit ghetto. So maybe it could be the settings that we need to play around with that makes us sound a bit different. I do agree with you. Sometimes I think our voices are deeper than the mic picks up to be. Sometimes I feel like we can get that creaminess in the microphone soon enough. I think as we get more experienced, I think that might be the next step that we take forward with the podcast. I know. Have you noticed on Spotify when we upload the episodes, it asks us what season and what episodes?
Well, you upload them on Spotify, so I don't actually know, but I'm just gonna say yes to it.
You've seen it. You've seen it on there. You've seen it. So I was just thinking, like, do you reckon we're gonna do? I want to know your thoughts. Obviously, like, I feel like I could have this conversation with you outside of the podcast, but let's do it on the podcast. So, like, do you feel like you want to end the season on like an episode 12? You know how anime, you've got 12 episodes per season. Do you want to do it that way? Like, you want to end the season on episode 12, or shall we keep going till episode 24 and go on to season 2? In my head, every new season brings in like a new theme or like a new thing. So I want to know your thoughts on what do you think about the Spotify seasonal content?
I think that with our direction, if our direction was to change, or we get a big change, will introduce a new season. But I think until then,
Keep going with.
or who knows, maybe we'll add some characters. We'll introduce some new characters.
Yeah, so we got Rav, we got Harman, we'll have Jimmy, we'll have Janine. Announce to the BFs that they can also be a part of 2BFT, not just in comments, but also in voice. They can come to my bedroom and sit here with us and record the podcast with us.
Yeah, Harman will make you a pizza, then burn it as usual.
Yeah, let's put it out there. I think maybe it's time to get a surprise guest on the show in the near future. That's maybe where we can take, because obviously we have our opinions about loads of topics. Adding in a fresh new voice might give it some more spice, unlike that burnt pizza.
I think that's a really good idea, because we're not on this to come across as we're the experts. We know everything. We know everything about what's going on, because in actuality we don't. There's a lot of experiences that we have, but there's also infinitely more experiences that we haven't had, or that we may never even think about. Everyone has unique perspectives, and what I've come to realize is that people do things for specific reasons, right? We started this podcast for a specific reason. We're talking in a freestyle sense, for a specific reason.
Yeah, because we couldn't think of anything today.
That
was the reason. We were so, I think. Sorry, I cut you off, but like we couldn't think of anything today. That's why. That's the reason.
Yeah, podcasting is hard, guys. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that when you start something, it's gonna be hard, bro?
Who would have thought something that you start requires effort to keep it going? Like, didn't we write down all of our ideas for podcasting and then like end up finishing all of those ideas in the last 10 episodes?
Oh, literally, guys. When we started our first episode, we started a shared notes section, and we literally added idea after idea after idea after idea. And I was like, yo, Harman, we got content for ages, bro. We got so much. What we realized was we were covering certain points, but not going in depth and talking about them a lot. And how Harman feels about it, how I feel about it, maybe how the BFs feel about it in the comments. So we kind of blasted through topics. So
we haven't refreshed any of our ideas so far. I mean,
it comes back. We are coming back full circle on our points, so you guys won't miss out on that. We released an episode called Corporate Brownies, which talks about being brown in the corporate world, right? In my episode, Who is Rav, I think, or in the first episode, I said it's a little bit harder as a South Asian to get a job. But then did I explain why? No. Did I ask Harman, have you had that experience as well? No, I just said it. But someone who's listening might think, okay, you've said that, but what is the reason?
Yeah.
Can we change that reason? Can we at least make it better? Can we figure out a workaround? these points we weren't talking about. I'm not saying we have to provide solutions to every point, but at least to talk about it and say
Both viewpoints,
how we feel.
yeah.
And that can trigger an idea in someone's head that actually changes the world. We weren't covering those things.
Yeah.
So we still are not afraid to show that we're still learning. We still have the episode out there. We've not changed any of the episodes. We're not like, oh, Harman, take that one down because I don't like it. You know, you get our full authenticity. It's like that on my training page as well. You know, if you look at my videos that I posted on my Instagram, all it was at the start was just me doing stuff in the gym, not talking about anything. Like, it'll be, oh, this is a push day. I could have talked about why I do push-pull legs. I could have talked about why I do the exercises I do in push. I could have talked about progressive overload, how to track your training. I could have talked about diet, but it was just me, you know, showing me lifting some weights. But we refine and we hone our skills as we get better. And it's kind of like self-developmentception, because we talk about self-development a bit on this podcast while we're also self-developing to become better podcasters and better content creators. So it again reinforces that positive community that we're building, that it's just a big positive feedback system. The more work we put in, the more effort we put in, the more our BFs chip in with us, the more positive and stronger the community grows. And then it, at some point, it's just going to grow into something so crazy. We're just going to look back and be like, yo, that's when we'll have infinite things to talk about. There'll be experiences just coming left, right, and centre. Yo, me and Harman just woke up and then, you know, our chauffeur's ringing and saying that he's late, so we got the private jet. The private jet's just caught fire or something, innit?
Big dreams, right? Big dreams. I mean, you gotta have those big dreams to achieve them. If you don't dream big enough, just think about it. Like, if your imagination technically is limitless, you could think about anything. Why limit yourself in your dreams, like what you want to achieve? I think that's what people... But I personally feel like more people need to change that about themselves. It's like they need to stop limiting themselves. And as you just explained, like self-development, like people will only develop themselves up to a certain point as far as they can see, as far as they can dream. So if our imagination is limitless, then what's stopping us from imagining us as like yourself as like the perfect version of yourself? Realistically, no one's ever going to get there, because as a human being, there's a saying in Hindi as well. It says that insan galtiyon ka putla hota hai. That means a human being is like the
our mistakes make us.
Yeah, kind of. I'm trying to figure out the word for putla in English. You know, sometimes like you're switching between languages and you forget the word.
It gets lost in translation.
It gets lost.
Shout out
in translation.
Shout out to the previous episode. Go watch it, guys, if you've not watched it already.
Well, that was like 2 episodes before. Bro forgot his own episodes.
No, I said one of the previous episodes.
One of the previous. Yeah, it gets
the
lost
previous episode before the previous episode.
So, what that translates to roughly is saying that humans make mistakes. Like, that is what makes you human. You making mistakes.
You're never gonna not make a mistake.
Yeah, and it's like what you mentioned before as well. Like, you know, when you were like saying it's funny that someone says to you like act your age, but it's you've only been your age the first ever time.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like, you're going into something as a brand new human. You're not gonna know things. You're gonna learn on the go, and that's I think that ability to be able to learn on the go is the most valuable ability in your life. Like, if you can do that, you'll be unstoppable. Like, with me recently, like I've had some good news in my job. So like, obviously I've progressed and I'm going into aspects in my job where I haven't done these things before in my job. So I'm taking a brand new step towards something that I've never done. But that's the whole point, because I have skills that can match up with that image of the perfect role, the job description. I'm working towards it while getting that promotion. So I'm adapting as I go. And I don't know if you could probably give an experience to that, give an example for an experience like that, like. I think because you are also very like we both are very similar in that way. Like obviously the reason we started this podcast is because a lot of our views match up. So what do you think? Like you could probably give an example of that as well. Like
to be honest, that's got not trying to be sarcastic or give you like a cheeky answer, but that's been like my whole life.
Yeah,
is adapting on the go.
Yeah,
because at school I had 2 routes I could go down. When we finished our A-levels, I had A-levels in maths, physics and biology.
Can I guess the routes?
What? Yeah.
So one of them could be RS3, my brother.
RS3, my brother.
RS3, my brother. In my whip. Sony A in my whip. Or IT support.
But there was accounting and finance.
Damn, bro didn't even laugh.
Accounting and finance and mechanical engineering. I chose engineering, right?
Yeah.
There were so many things that I had to adapt to in uni. I had to adapt to... Everyone relates to this, and I did speak about this in Who is Rav, so I'm not going to touch on it for too long. But having to change from teachers would hold your hand in secondary school, and at uni, there's literally nothing. It's like, oh, if you don't do the work, they're like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
And it like, you bring the work in if you want, and then I'll mark it. What do you mean if you want? I'm not going to get in trouble if I don't give in the work or if I don't do this assignment. If they don't do the assignment and it goes past the deadline,
yeah,
then you just fail. There's no like...
They don't care about it.
There's no like, oh, you get detention and then try again.
Detention in uni, you know?
You just fail in it,
Yeah.
right? So that was kind of where independence in life started coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm independent. Like I live with my mom, you know. Do you know what I'm saying? So
do you know what you should say to people?
what?
You know when they say like, oh, you're not independent, you live with your mom. And this is from a Bollywood movie. Say, my mom lives with me.
That's funny. That's actually funny, but that one made me laugh. I'll give you that one. But I don't think anyone is really independent in this world. If you have your own business, yeah, let's say your business is dependent on customers, because if customers stop coming in, you're not going to have a business for very long, are you? And if you've got a massive business, guess what you need? You need employees to delegate the tasks to, the running of the business. So you are dependent on them. Even if you don't have your own business, you will be dependent on a business to give you a job, and you'll be dependent on everyone else doing their job to ensure the business keeps making money so that you can keep getting paid and you have work to do, right? You depend on everyone for everything. If you want kids, you're going to have to depend on a wife.
Well,
you know,
that's one of those things that people have been saying for so long, that's the whole argument in politics. Like, people are like, oh, liberals, Democrats, socialism, capitalism. The whole point of all those debates is the fact that some people don't want to realize that everyone's dependent on everyone. What's that novel that we read in English? An Inspector Calls.
Yeah.
I read that ages ago, but that was the whole, like, the guy that wrote that was a socialist, so he made that novel. And for the BFs that don't know about Mr. Berling and that, it was a novel written by... Yo, check my memory out now. We're gonna fact check this. I know this. J.B. Priestley.
Yeah, it was J.B.
Priestley.
Yeah,
Check that memory out, fam. So it was written by J.B. Priestley, who was a socialist, and I think I urged the BFs to actually either go watch the movie or go watch any of the TV shows or movies that have taken adaptations from An Inspector Calls. But it's an example of what socialism and or capitalism can do to someone. And in that, like, they didn't realize that, in a nutshell, there was a woman who was anonymously named that was involved in the rich family's life in one way or the other. But they were like, obviously, it was showing capitalism to be really bad, etc., etc. But that's what I'm trying. I think what I'm trying to get at with that is, like, no matter who you are, even if you're rich or you're poor, you are involved in each other's lives some way or the other, which is where your point comes in, I guess. Like, no one's ever truly independent in this world. Like, without someone working at the water facility, we wouldn't have clean drinking water. Simple as. Obviously, there's a whole argument of like how much people get paid. Maybe they should get paid more for the jobs they do. That's the whole socialism concept. It's like every job should be equal, every pay should be equal. I mean, again, don't the guy in the comments will be like, no, this guy is wrong. He's getting the definition wrong. But from my understanding, it's my opinion that I am putting out there, is that the whole point of that is like everyone should be paid equally because everyone's the same. Everyone's dependent on each other. There should be no billionaires, kind of thing.
Yeah. Humans are the most successful species because of civilization and forming communities.
But don't you think that's kind of going away now?
Do what we do.
Make a podcast.
Genuinely make a personal brand and form a community. The thing that I've loved about South Asian culture, which I think is going away, is how we congregate. We form communities, and it's a quote from Planet of the Apes. You know, Caesar, the one ape that learns to speak, right? His whole viewpoint is that an ape on his own is weak, but apes together are strong. And what happens when the ape's on his own? He can't do anything.
Is that
when he gets a group of apes together, they can do whatever they want. I'm not saying that I'm trying to, form a community and
of apes,
and then like some radicalize, the earth. But what I personally view is that you are right, it is going away. But if I'm going to bring it back, I want to bring it back with kind of my own spin on it. I want to form a community that, with capitalism, the people at the top benefit, right? We build a community to BFT. We post content, we talk about experiences, but guess what? Other people talk about their experiences and they are just as valued, as we always say in every podcast. And people can go to people alike, like-minded, and seek advice. And that is what I'm trying to do, like an answer to your question, with your help obviously as well. So I do depend on you, maybe even rely on at some point. But I think dependence and reliance, when done properly, is beautiful.
Yeah, it's just a shame. Really is. It's just a shame that right now, the world we're living in, people are forgetting that they depend on each other and rely on each other. I mean, look at what Trump's doing right now. He's pushing everyone away. He's coming out with all these, and this is getting political now. But this is a prime example of what's going. It is, everyone knows it. It's not my opinion. It is literally just stating what he's doing. We've just had a conference in Europe where America's basically gone guns blazing to say, look, Europe's worst enemy has been Europe itself. The services and etc. what we provide. There's going to be, I'm sure that he's putting like taxes or something on services. He's also said that military support will be pulled from Europe, etc., etc. But like, that's what I mean. It's like, we're creating this community. We're trying to go into this with the podcast, and I know this is taking a more serious tone now, but I was just thinking about the whole point of independence and reliance, that the people that make decisions for all our countries and essentially are guiding us into the future. I did that with quotation marks with my fingers. The decisions they're making doesn't really seem to be aligning with, for example, our generation's views. Obviously, you and I, we're in the same generation. We want to make communities. We want people to succeed together. Like Caesar from Planet of the Apes, what's the quote? Ape together stronger.
Yeah, ape on his own, weak, ape together strong. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about those things now because you've mentioned it. It's provoked that thought that you said that you're quite good at doing, right? And I'm just thinking that if we can think about these things and wanting to make communities and, go together as a whole, how come all these world leaders are trying to break that? They're so focused on their like individuality as like, no, this is my, like, I only belong to one country. I don't care about what happens to everyone else.
It comes from that thinking that people in country, they just want to be the best. Like Donald Trump wants, his cap always says "Make America Great Again," because what does he think? America is the greatest country on earth. that means they should have the greatest currency, greatest opportunities, greatest everything. But you can either think that I want to become the greatest, or I want to build the greatest thing. If we build the greatest community ever, I'm not bothered if I'm not the greatest man in that community. I've got the training page. Oh, I've got to be the fittest looking or whatever. I'm not bothered about that. I think for us, we're very good at doing things that are larger than life or larger than ourselves and our own wants and needs.
Yeah.
I think when you put your wants and needs in front of others, it creates these problems, because you're going to meet someone else who puts their wants and needs in front of your wants and needs. Your wants and needs you'll put in front of theirs, so there will be a clash.
Yeah.
And one person has to lose that clash.
Yeah.
Or you either fight forever, or one person wins and one person loses. But either way, you still have to fight, right?
Yeah.
At least we build something that can be self-sustaining. I think we give very little advice on here, but we compel thoughts and get people to talk, which then can spread massive waves throughout countries and the universe. And
Yeah, the Martian manhunter's listening to this. He's like, yeah, maybe I am too Martian for this,
Yeah. Too Milky Way for this.
Oh, and getting that physics knowledge out.
Too Milky Way for this, man. Or the Andromeda galaxy.
I was about to say I'm too Andromeda for this.
Yeah.
People are listening to this like, oh, nerds,
innit?
For those that don't know, we did like the STEM subjects, so like physics, chemistry, maths, and science, all the sciences basically. So that's some of our background. Like, we are smart. We used to be. Bro, have you ever think, like, going back, I know we just did the episode like retrospect, I was just thinking, that just got me thinking, like, could you compete with your younger self in maths or physics? Like, think of the prime Rav or prime Harman from like A levels. Could you compete with that person right now in maths?
Nah.
Bro, I was doing maths the other day at work because I had to calculate something, and I've got so reliant on a calculator now. Like, I know what to do. Obviously, you need to know what to do to be able to type into the calculator. Like, I was working out margins and percentages and like working out like stats and stuff for something. I know what to do, but because I don't use mental maths anymore, obviously yours is a bit different. You run a shop, so you have to calculate change, and I don't even do that anymore. I've got a calculator in front of me all the time on my phone. So I was doing some maths and I was thinking, can I still work out like this kind of equation in my head? Because I used to be able to do that back in physics. Like, I could, like, we remembered some equations in our head, didn't we? And I was just thinking, like, yo, younger Harman would wipe his face with me. He would wipe, like, what's the saying?
You'd wipe the floor with you.
Wipe the floor with me.
He'd wipe his face.
So I was just thinking, like, in retrospect, right? Like, I know this is deviating from our previous serious topic as well, but that's why we're freestyling this today. We're yappers.
This guy said wiping his face.
Rav's is still stuck on that.
It's wiping his face.
It's because I took a book from my page.
Where did you hear that from, bro? Who wipes their face? Like, obviously you wipe your face, like, obviously if you've washed your face or something. But where does that come from?
Do you know what? I've realized as I've grown up, when I was younger, I used to be way more serious. I know you remember this. Like, I used to be way more like serious about everything all the time. But like, I think I've recently been able to like kind of express myself more, and I've realized, like, I don't care for the pedantics anymore. Like, if I say the wrong thing, I say the wrong thing. Like, I know the right thing in my head, but if I say the wrong thing as a joke, like a book from my page, like wiping my face, I don't care. I don't mind anymore. So what do you think? Could you beat your younger self in maths?
Mental maths, yes. But
that's
in terms of A-level maths and differentiation, double angle formulae, the sine rule and the cos rule, nah, no chance. So what are you doing?
To test that, okay. we're gonna give Rav some mental maths questions right now.
Is it me getting the quiz all the time?
Okay, we can do mine as well. I'll probably see.
I don't mind, but I'm just saying. Why is it? Me
I wasn't the one that said I could beat my younger self. Okay. I said I would fail, and I use a calculator all the time. So let's see, 12. See, I even got that wrong. It's 20. It says 20 random questions. I said 12. So let's see. I'm going to be asking Rav some mental maths test questions here, and let's see how he does. I'm sure he's going to do quite well. I think you'll do way better than me. We'll do me as well.
All right.
So, what's half of 1.1?
0.55.
That is a crazy question, you know. Number is doubled, and then 20 is added to the result. The answer is 48. What was the original number?
14.
Yep. Do you know what? I
2x plus 20 is 48.
Yeah.
2x is 28. X is 14.
Yeah. I actually did that at the same time as you. I mistyped it on the actual test though, so we're going to get that wrong. Because I was about to press 14. Like I pressed 1, and for some reason it just submitted that. So... it's giving you a timer. How many 6s are there in 72?
12.
That was actually really quick. It took me a while, and I'm reading the thing. Which prime number is closest to 28?
29. 27 is 9 3s, isn't it? Not prime number.
Yeah. I was going to say 23. Which number is not a factor of 60? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
7.
7, yeah, I was going to say. Wait, why am I doing this? Which prime number is closest to 21?
19. Or 23. They're both the same.
I would have said 23 again. Why is it going so fast? Is there a time? I don't know if there was a
It's
time.
mental maths, bro.
No, but like it went on the next question and then went on the next question. Immediately. Or maybe I'm pressing something wrong. What is half of 0.7?
0.35.
Yeah. I don't know why it's doing that. But this question, I've been... Add together 16 and half of 16.
24.
I don't know why I'm doing that with you. It's fun though, because I thought I lost my ability, you know. Half of 0.5?
0.25.
Some of the questions just run away. What is half of 1.3?
0.65.
Subtract 2.7 from 7.2.
5.5.
That question went. Subtract 112 from 120.
8.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
it's your turn now.
Well, I like to visualize my things, so if I can't see it, it's going to be a bit hard for me because I haven't done
That's
this. That's
why. Okay, start mental maths test. Subtract 138 from 140.
2.
That one was easy. Why did you get such an easy one?
You got a similar one.
How many quarters are there in 4?
16. It didn't give me the right answers after.
A number is halved and then 10 is at... Okay, what are you saying? Subtract 111 from 120.
9. Do you see what I mean? It changed.
Enter the multiple of 6 that is closest to 80.
I got stuck there, you know.
Shall I help you? It's 78.
78.
Oh, this is gone now anyway. 6 times 12 is 72 plus 6 is 78.
Yeah.
How many grams are there in 1.2 kg?
1,200.
How many 5s are there in 55?
2.
How many 5s are there in 55?
Oh, it means 11?
What is 1/2 of 200?
100. I thought it meant 5, like
What is half of 0.4?
0.2.
Where's the stupid full stop? Look at this row of 6 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.
3.
Which number is not a factor of 20?
3.
Oh, you already knew
I
that
read
one.
the question.
How many grams are there in 0.6 kg?
600.
How many quarters are there in 1.5?
Oh, 1.5.
Oh, this is already gone.
Okay.
12 buns cost 120. How much will 1 bun cost?
10 pence.
10p in it. Add together 23, 26, and 27.
Okay. 23, 26, 27, 60,
76.
70... Huh?
76.
76, yeah.
Just do 23 plus 27 is 50, and then add 26. How many grams are there in 0.7 kg?
700. I don't like the gram questions. They're too easy.
What number? They're all easy, boys. What number is exactly halfway between 5.1 and 6.1?
4.1.
5.1 and 6.1. It's gone anyway. Subtract
5.6.
Subtract 2.3 from 3.2.
2.3
From 3.2.
from 3.2. 0.7.
I just answered it for you. It was 0.9.
0.9.
Enter the multiple of 9 that is closest to 70.
63.
No, it's 72.
Oh, time. Yeah. Yeah.
I put
times
72.
Yeah.
What is 7,203 in figures? Oh yeah, 7203.
You're just doing it for me at this point. That's what I was doing. Because I could see that.
This web page is not available. Because I even let you
see. It's easy, isn't it, when you can see the questions. Anyways, I think that's been really fun today. Nice freestyle. I think it's gonna be a lot of things jumbled together. What do you think?
Yeah, this was crazy, guys.
It was just fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's fun anyway.
yeah, it's always fun. Have you got any final thoughts for the BFs?
Final thoughts is that next episode we're going to go back to structure. We're going to be talking about things. We're going to be talking about relevant topics, maybe some current events if something crazy happens within the next week, which I think the way it's going with Trump in America, and I think we're going to have things to talk about every single week, to be honest. That's going to give us all our content. This is going to become a Trump podcast.
Let's go follow him on Twitter.
It is.
Just like you should follow us on Twitter on 2BFT.
2BFT, everyone. Take care, guys.
2BFT.